Hello and welcome to today's REDCap demo day. Today I'll be covering the data import tool, and this is being recorded on REDCap version 15.0.22. As a reminder, you can always find helpful links on the Home and My Projects page within REDCap and along the left-hand menu, as well as embedded throughout REDCap for just-in-time help as you are working on your projects. It's just an acknowledgement today. I used a presentation from another REDCap administrator, Caitlin Hoffman, about the data import tool to help format my presentation. So thank you, Caitlin. I'll post that presentation as well when I post my recording. What I'll cover today is the purpose of the data import tool, potential issues that you may come across when using the import tool, the tools used, which obviously one of them is the import tool, but we'll talk about a couple others, and then we'll go through some demonstrations. So the purpose of the data import tool is basically to do bulk data import from a CSV file. So for example, if you've collected data in another platform and you decided you now want that data in REDCap, you do not have to enter that those data points one at a time. You can just format a spreadsheet and import them all at once. Sometimes people will import data from one project to another, and sometimes it can help if you've accidentally collected data or entered data into an incorrect record ID or an event, etc. So if you have a longitudinal project and you were entering data on visit 10 for record 20 and you accidentally entered that in record 19's data and you entered a lot of data, you don't just want to enter that all at once. You could download it, import it into the other record. And I do have an older recording on the REDCap Workshops recording page for Becker Library. That is a 2-hour video that goes over kind of how to specifically take data that's stored in another format or in another platform and setting up a REDCap project to prepare it to be imported into REDCap. It was recorded in 2020, so some of the application, the REDCap application will look different, but the main points of that remain the same, and I show a couple tricks to use in Microsoft Excel while you're reformatting data that's already been collected in another platform to create that project. Okay, some potential issues. The most common issue is just general formatting of the import template. So the column name must be the variable name. The first column must be your record ID variable name. So here mine is actually record score underscore ID. Yours might be study underscore ID, applicant underscore ID, something like that, scholar underscore ID, just dependent on what you've named that first field, the variable name in that first field in your project. That is the record ID. That needs to be there. And then all the names of the columns are actually just the variable names of the fields. And they have to be in the lowercase underscore numbers format in order to import, or what's better known as the raw format. You can't have the field labels and import them into REDCap. Similarly, on multiple choice, you have to have the coded value here. So here you can see some multiple choice fields where you have the numbers rather than the labels. So rather than having the sex, racial origin, or ethnicity written out, you have just the coded values of those choices. And then check boxes, they're always a little different because instead of just having one value, you can have multiple values for a checkbox. So each choice gets its own column, and then they're coded as 0 for unchecked, 1 for checked. Okay, so that has to be formatted correctly before you import, and there's a number of errors you can get. This error is showing that I put a value of 4 for ethnicity, and there was no coded value of 4 for ethnicity, so it didn't accept the import in this instance. Or if you put an uppercase letter in any of the column names, or a space, or anything that doesn't fit, or if you just misspell one, have a typo, it'll give you that error. That's the most common. Usually when that happens, I'll just have you send me this error, and that you can usually help determine what you need to do to format the spreadsheet correctly. The most concerning issue, though, is overwriting data. When you import these, everything's connected to the record ID, right? So if you're importing data for RCT 001 and you accidentally enter 002 in there, you could overwrite some data. Or here in this example, I just have some different values from what's already in REDCap. So you see you have a key here where the dark black font means it's new data, which that's what you're seeing here with the 4. Gray text means there's data that's already in the project that is the same as the data you're trying to import. So this date is already in the project and I'm trying to import it. So it's just telling me, hey, this is already there. We're not going to make any changes. Where you see the red text, this is the data that will be overwritten. So here I have a value of 5 for this record in racial origin, and I'm trying to import a record of or a value of 4. So REDCap's just saying, hey, just so you know, you're overwriting this. It allows you to do it, but you have to review it and you have to click import. Another common issue that we see is that you can import data to fields that are hidden by branching logic. So if you've ever tried to open a instrument with data already collected, you get that error that pops up that says there is a value in this field that is supposed to be hidden by branching logic, and it asks whether you want to remove the value or not. And so you have to be diligent about making sure if you import a value to a field that has branching logic, there's probably a subsequent value that you have to include for another field that drives that branching logic to show that field. Okay, so the tools used, as you may expect, the data import tool, it is, just what it says. It's a tool specifically designed for importing data. When you go to the data import tool, you'll see the download your import template. Any project that is built in REDCap has a data import template. As you go down, I always encourage you to read through, read the documentation, but this is just giving you some additional information about the format of the data import file. The main thing that I do is I always do comma separated. That's just what I am most familiar with, but you can have semicolon or tab separated data import templates. You can also export with the fields as the rows instead of the columns. I've just always felt more comfortable with the columns, or excuse me, with the field names as the columns instead of the field names as the rows, and the rows are the records. But you can have it so the field names are the rows and the record IDs are the columns. If you want to do that, go ahead. When I work in this, I pretty much do it exclusively with the field names as the columns. And then if you have different modules turned on, or different you're using different tools in your project, you may have to identify those as well. So if you have longitudinal, you have to include an event name. If you have repeat instrument or repeat events turned on, you'll have to put in the instrument name and the repeat instrument or repeat instance. And if there's a data access group, you'll have to define what data access group that is. Otherwise, it will go to the not specified. That's if you have any data access groups turned on. You don't necessarily need to have a data access group column if you do not have any data access groups. And as I mentioned, you have to have it in the CSV format. You can work on getting the template correctly formatted in Excel, but just save it, do a file save as CSV before uploading. Okay, so now we'll switch over to REDCap. Go ahead and log in. And I'm going to create a project using a template, and I'll just call it data import demo, being recorded on 7/25/2025. Practice just for fun, and I will use a template with this classic database. Create a project. This is WashU specific. Go ahead, agree to that. So when you go to the online designer here, you can see I've already got 6 instruments set up. So because of that, I can just go right to my data import tool. And I can download my data import template. See if I can get this to open. Here we go. Okay. So here is my data import template. Let's see. So what we can see is we've got a lot of multiple choice in this. Then we've got some plasma measures, some additional data. We've got every single field that contains data is represented across the top of this in this row. Now this is a little confusing, study ID and record ID. Let me just check the online designer. Our demographics. So it looks like we have a study ID, and then they get a record ID. And then here you can see all the multiple choice and checkboxes specifically. And so each one of these choices gets a column. Okay. So let's go back to our spreadsheet here. And the most important field here, and column, is the study ID. You have to have something here. Okay, so it may just be a one if you're going in order. So I'm going to say study ID 1, study ID 2, and then record ID might be something, maybe you give it some type of acronym. We'll just say JCT underscore 0021. This is ACT underscore 0022, something like that. So maybe you've got automatically numbers for study ID, but then you have a record ID that's a little different to that. Now, all of these will be zeros or 1. So I'm just going to put some 1s and some 0s across here. Let's see, we go all the way to here. And we will just do slightly different here for number 2. And we'll just give them data for this first row. Now, one thing to note is that I do not have to have all these fields represented or have a value for every field, even if they are not required, or even if they are required, I should say. I don't need to have data in here for them. Let me just try to save this. We'll then go to the data import tool. We'll see if we can import this. There we go. So what we can see here is we're adding 2 new records. We're giving them, we're adding new records according to REDCap, but we're calling that our study ID. So we're giving them a global study ID for our research project, and then we give them a specific record ID. So the naming convention is a little confusing here based on REDCap making the first field its record ID for the database, but then we're also giving a record ID for our own study purposes. And then every one of these where it was checked has a 1, and the checkboxes that are unchecked are a little confusing because unchecked checkboxes have a value of 0. So it appears like there's already data there, but it just means that these checkboxes were unchecked and they're remaining unchecked. So let's go ahead and import that data. Let's go to our record status dashboard. And what we can see here is we've got the data, and this matches. So choice 1, 2, 3, 7, 9 had values here. So let's see if that's the same. 1, 2, 3, 7, and 9 are my ones checked for there. And then here it's everything after choice 2 is checked. So let's see our other record. Okay, so there I've checked all these. Now, what about if what if I've entered data such that all of this instrument will be complete? Well, if we go back to our, whoops, wrong one. We go back to our spreadsheet. If we go over far enough, the end of every instrument, there is a field showing if that instrument is complete or not. Let's go over, let's see how many rows were there. Lots of rows. Let's try this way. Control F, complete. There we go. So demographics complete. That is our first instrument. So let's add let me add a 2 here and a 1 here. And note that I don't even need to really be in order. I can actually delete all these fields. I have my 2 and my 1 here. Now I'm just going to upload this. Data import tool. Choose file, my newly saved file, import, and we can see I'm now getting a 2 and 1. Let's see what happens there. Let's go to my record dashboard. So I can see I saved 1 as complete and 1 as unverified, because complete equals 2 and unverified equals 1. So that's how I saved that. Okay, now let's add a few extra modules here. Go to project setup. We will turn on Longitudinal. We'll add some events. We'll say event 2. I'll add this. We will go designate. Say, there we go. Say this is at event 2. We'll also go to project setup. Let's turn on a repeating instrument. Say repeat instrument, 1 month. And finally, we will add some data access groups. And we'll use this unique auto group name when we do a event. We're going to use these auto event names. And when we have a repeating instrument name, we'll use the form name here. Okay. So now let's go to our data import tool. Let's download our import template again. Open it now. And we'll go over. And now you can see we've got some extra columns. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to enter some information for the month 1 data, but it's on a different event. We've got to make sure we enter the instance, and then we've got to say our data access group name. So first I want to see what's the first field name in my month 1 data. It is date visit 1. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet. I'm just going to find date visit 1. Okay, so here's the first column. So I'm just going to actually delete everything before that, other than back to my forgot how many columns there were for this. So I'm going to go all the way back. I'm going to do a shift and delete. Okay, so this gets to my month 1 visit. One thing I'm also going to check if there are any ranges on these. So this one's got to be between 3 and 5, 10 and 40, and 0.5 and 20. So we'll try to put some data in these first ones, 3 and 5, 10 and 40, 0.5, and 20. Okay. So let's get our spreadsheet back. Oops. All right, study ID 1. Whoops, actually, let's do just study ID 1. And we're going to say, I believe it was event 2 arm _1. Put that for both. That is the event that this will be on. REDCap repeat instrument. I believe it was month 1 form, but I'll go to my code book just to make sure I get the right form name, which is month 1 data. I'll just go ahead and copy that. Get back to my spreadsheet. I can just put that in there. And I'm going to say repeat instance 1. And my data access group is WashU. I'm going to put the same thing on the next row, except I'm going to put 2, instance 2. We've already entered data for our record ID. We'll get rid of that, but let's say visit 1 is on today's date, which we have to format the date the same. So let me look at what our date is formatted as, year, month, day. Keep going back to that screen. Let's try this again. So let's say 2025-07-25. Yeah, we'll see if it does that. Sometimes you have to put the little apostrophe here first and then say 2025 dash, we'll say this one 08 dash 25. Okay. We'll leave that there to see what happens. Okay, this one was between 3 and 5. We'll say 3 and 4. 10 and 40. We'll say 15, 20. I believe 0.5 and 20. So we'll say 10, 11. Okay. These dates may cause us trouble, but that's okay. We'll get to see an example of when it goes wrong. If it does, so choose a file, import what we just had, upload the file. Okay, yep. So it automatically switched that. And so what you can see here is we've got one on instance 1, one on instance 2, and we're going to put this values on the different instances. Okay, now let's go to record. So you can see here we've got more than one here on event 2. If I go here, I can see on event 1, I've got my July 25th, 3/5/15. And if I go to event 2, I've got August 25th, 4/20 and 11. Then if I look at my data access group, I can see that record 1 or one record is in the WashU group. If I go to my record status dashboard, if I look at WashU, this person is assigned to WashU because I uploaded that. And number 2 has no assignment because I did not upload a data access group for that record. If you have any questions about this video, please visit redcap.wustel.edu and submit a ticket. Thank you.